feel like every episode over the last week, has made me go, are you joking? Holly and Polly now being like, oh, things are going to get spoken about today. Yeah, things are going to get set straight because too much has gone on. And they're all like, oh, so basically going to be set for Hannah. And Adam's like, but hopefully if you guys can do that, you can do it in a nice way. And Polly's like, well, it depends on her attitude. It depends on her attitude, like, because if she does not take on board what we're saying, well, then that's going to be a problem. So you're already set over your crumpets and your orange juice, that you're set for beef. Christina's saying how awesome it's been. It's just been nice vibes. And Lacey's like, but is it good vibes though? You know that scene in Harry Potter where he faces the Grand Inquisition, and my man's like, he did not wreck. Like, it was literally like a quote like that. Christina gave like the most amazing tribute to Kieran. Like, you're saying that the PDA that you need completely eradicates everything else. And then you've got the sneaky snake behaviour from Steven, Wagwan people thems. I feel like every episode over the last week, has made me go, are you joking? Are you actually joking though? Okay, so this one, episode 19, it starts off obviously with them at the cottage, people waking up, and they're all talking about the fact that they're going to have like this away day. So the boys are going to have the boys' time, the girls are going to have the girls' time. They're all kind of waking up to kind of breakfasts and stuff, and like it opens with Adam and Polly in with Alex and Holly, and basically the boys are talking about how like, I think like the guys are going to basically, it's almost like pretty stereotypical, that lads are just going to be lads, and we just get on and it's all cool, but the girls, that's where the drama's coming up, for the bitches is going to be at and whatever. And you would think, knowing that that is like what the stereotype is, that people would be working harder to not feed into that narrative over breakfast. So here Holly and Polly now being like, oh, things are going to get spoken about today. Yeah, things are going to get set straight because too much has gone on. Hannah, and they're all like, oh, so basically going to be set for Hannah. And Adam's like, but hopefully if you guys can do that, you can do it in a nice way. And Polly's like, well, it depends on her attitude. It depends on her attitude, like, because if she does not take on board what we're saying, well, then that's going to be a problem. So you're already set over your crumpets and your orange juice, that you're set for beef. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you in the dressing gown in the morning is set for beef because it depends on her attitude. I think from then I was like, but what about your attitude? What about your attitude already from this? What about your attitude? Anyway, so you can already tell, after yesterday's episode, you probably already know where my feelings lie when it comes to Polly, but like, anyway, so they're all set for like Thelma and Louise in, right? And, they're all like, oh, I want to get on the bad side of Holly and Polly. And they're kind of laughing about it. I'm like, aren't you the same said one that said you were bullied before? And you're already, okay, anyway. Oh, and also what she says in that clip, Polly's like, do you know that Hannah hasn't even tried to speak to Stephen? Like, she's not even actually tried to say to him, let's have a conversation, let's go for a walk. Like, why don't you come home? Two things with that, right? First and foremost, if you decide that you're going to leave based on something that you think's happened, right? Yes, I can see that, like, it would be an idea that somebody could say, do you know what? I'm going to reach out to you and be like, yo, come home. Please come home. Can you please come home, right? That is something to say, right? But there is no obligation and there's no onus on someone to do that, because hear what? You and your big man self walked out the yard without even so much as a toodaloo. You walked out. So why am I then going to turn around and start begging you to be like, oh yeah, please, my baby don't left me. Please come home. Like, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all right. So I was a bit like, okay, like you putting the onus on her yet again, that she needs to implore him to come back to the house. Right. Anyway, so then like it goes to like Luke and Amy, and Luke's again talking about the retreat and stuff, and he was like, do you think like it'd be good for you? And she's like, yeah, I think it'd be sick, because actually I can kind of get to know a bit of the girls a little bit. And he's like, do you think one of the reasons maybe that you haven't got to know them as much is because of her, because of Hannah? And she's like, yeah, I feel like I'm being like quite protective of her. And then Hannah comes in with the cups of teas and stuff. And I'm so happy that like she's just got someone, like just somebody in there that can just give her the time of day. And she's like, I've tried. Like, I've really, really tried. And just before actually she comes in, Luke and Amy are kind of both talking about the fact that they've seen something with Orson and Hannah, and that maybe there could be something brewing there. So yeah, Hannah comes in and she's like, yeah, do you know what? I've tried with Stephen. I've tried texting him. I've tried with him pretty much every single day to be like, let's try and resolve something, and like, there's been nothing. So I thought that was quite interesting. Stephen has said that like she hadn't tried to text him once or tried to speak to him, and yet she's like, I've like to camera and to people when, like, I've tried to talk to him, like I've tried to message him. I'm so open to talking to him, and yet he just won't talk to me. And I thought, well, that's interesting, isn't it? That's very, very interesting. But yeah, she's also talking about the fact that her and Orson had a conversation the night before, and that he was really supportive, and that he's really been there for her and stuff. So yeah, she's like kind of bigging him up. Obviously, Rochelle and Orson haven't seen one another at all. He don't really see that fuss about that. Rochelle, I think was that the clip for next week? Maybe, actually, sorry. I think we saw the clip of Rochelle then going to speak to Emma, because Emma and Casper are also, it seemed really good. I mean, I'm in a good space. I can honestly say that this is probably the first episode where I genuinely was like really like happy for both of them. I mean, like, heartily. I was heartily happy for them both. Do you know what I mean? Like, previously I've kind of been happy for Polly, but for Emma, and was really in her corner for the way that like Casper probably made her feel. Then I kind of got a little bit like, I understand that like it's not ideal to hear that there's certain things that maybe don't attract you to the person you've been placed with, but that is also just how we're built. We're built to be attracted to what we're attracted to, which is built up over years, like years and years of just things that we learn to like and that we think are important to us. It's quite clear that maybe those things can be unlearned, but that's got to be a journey. Like, and I did think he was kind of getting it, not unfairly lambasted, but I think I said from the beginning, there is a conversation to be had here about types. And actually, is that even a thing that should even exist? Like, and if it isn't, like, is he the only wrong person in the world to have a type? Anyway, they're on like a really cool trajectory. It looks like, they're really excited, both of them. And I think that's really nice to see. Then it goes to... Then I think, then Stephen's talking about the fact that, like, they're, the boys are like a really good group, a really tight-knit group. So whatever comes from the day, it might be awkward moments or honest bits that they have to be, but they'll come together as a unit and it'll be blessed. It cuts to the girls entering the dinner party, the retreat thing. As the first part comes to an end, like, they basically all kind of sat down and stuff, and they're all like, oh, everyone joined the retreat, and Lacey saying how Christina saying how awesome it's been and how lovely it's been to be with the fire and like the little cottage compounds and stuff, and she's like, it's just been nice vibes. And Lacey's like, but is it good vibes though? Is it good vibes though? And then Holly, because the setup is you've got Polly, Holly and Lacey on the one side, Christina, Sasha, I think, Hannah and Amy, I think, my girl Emma is over there on that side. There might be someone here, I can't remember, but anyway, that's how it's kind of set up. It's like a, like, you get in any kind of like big room, I suppose. But then when Lacey's like, is it good vibes? Holly, who sat here, and obviously Hannah, who sat here, she's like, well, I think we should just address the elephant in the room, because I'm not about being two-faced, you know what I mean? Like, so I think we should just talk about, what's been going on. What I just thought was really interesting, right? She goes, Hannah, like, no one is looking to isolate you, like, or make you feel isolated, right? Or to, it wasn't isolated to use, not include you. Basically, it was along the lines of isolated, like, no one's looking to isolate you, do you know what I mean, and make you feel like you're alone or whatever. And Hannah's response to that was very much, well, that's exactly how I feel, to be honest. Like, that is how I feel. And then Hannah's immediate response is, well, you've done that to yourself, haven't you? Just listen to the contradiction of that, right? No one here wants to make you feel isolated. Well, that is exactly how I feel. Well, you've done it to yourself. So you're going to say to someone that nobody wants to make you feel isolated, but the one person who's the elephant in the room, like, we're going to address you publicly like this, yeah, we're holding court. we're actually holding court here because, you know, like, you know that scene in Harry Potter where he faces the Grand Inquisition, and my man's like, he is not back. Like, it was literally like a court like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's just this little dowdy woman with her handbag, just waiting to be judged by the, as she rightly called them, the three witches of Eastwick. Like, yeah, was not feeling that at all. Lace is like, you know, this is your opportunity in which to, you know, explain yourself. Which, again, I said yesterday when I heard that I'm not feeling those words, because ultimately I haven't got to explain myself to anybody, because nobody has come to me. You've heard something, yeah. Bearing in mind that they're not in different continents or countries. Like, you're all stopping in the same cottage compound. So if you genuinely felt a way about someone that's just come in, right? So it's already harder for them to make the bonds and stuff, because you already have bonded so tightly and all that kind of stuff. You've already like made the battle lines drawn because you're talking about it amongst yourselves deeply. Like, why should that person have to come and explain themselves to you? Like, who are you? Like, what? Anyway, so she's saying, like, there was no point because you've already made up your mind. You've already made your mind about me. And Polly's like, you know, it's not going to help, yeah? It's like, you need to take accountability for your actions, yeah? You need to take accountability for your actions. That is such a representation of someone, yeah, who, like, does not appreciate that prior to this, you were the person that was sat there with the husband that was not interested, that was getting the mockery taken out of you online, like, publicly, from people just like, where is this woman's dignity? Where is this woman's grace? Where is any of that, right? And yet you're sat down there, like, ready to be judged during executioner without really speaking. Like, you've already formulated your opinion. And Hannah wasn't wrong in saying that. So I think Hannah said to them, look, I feel like I'm being attacked here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no one's attacking you. Holly's like, no one's attacking you. What we'll do is, yeah, we'll put to you each of the threats, right? Each of the threats that we think, and then you can respond. Again, dude, who put Judge Judy in the courtroom, in the Supreme Court? Who did that? Because how have you evolved the role of the High Commissioner? Where did that come from? Like, you know, you've got on some next Beyonce Buffon top, and you suddenly, I'm so weird. Honestly, Hannah, I feel, yeah, knowing that she knew she's going into Lion's Den, but I feel like she's a bigger person than me, because I'm sorry, that setup ain't gonna work. Do you know what I mean? I'm all about having an honest and open conversation, but I'm not about to sit here and answer you like you did ban me, or you is the king or the queen of the country. Like, I don't owe you nothing. And the more that you start talking to me like I'm some kind of picnic, I'm telling you now, yeah, the conversation's done. It's done. I think Hannah's like, you know, I'm not going to answer all of you separately. And Holly's like, look, I'm going to put these things to you. You sat down there and you rubbed up Ryan's feet. Now, I was saying yesterday that I didn't understand like how that could be, right? And I guess we got a bit more information today. So Shannon's saying, you know, you were rubbing his feet, and Hannah's like, are you joking? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I was feeling his Uggs to feel if they were soft. And she's like, no, he said that you were rubbing his feet, the bottom of his foot. She's like, I'd never touched his foot. I never touched his foot. And she's like, well, that's what he said. He said that you touched his foot. So she's like, you know, that's out of order. She's like, you know, and then Lacey's like, you know, you shouldn't be going around like, you know, messing around with people's men. And she's like, I'm not. She's like, this has all been blown out of all proportion, yeah, because that's not that is just pathetic. She's like, I didn't rub his feet. And then Holly's like, and then when I was out, you come and knocked on the door, and when Alex was like, oh, she's not here, just when he was leaving, you put your head behind the door, just be like, you know, you're my favourite guy here. And she's like, you know, you shouldn't be messing around with any people's men. And she's like, to be honest, Alex has been quite supportive of me. And she's like, oh, cute. And she's like, what? She's like, why are you doing that? She's like, you've asked me a question, yeah, and I'm trying to give you my answer. You're making like comments like that. And she's like, I just don't think, yeah, that people should be messing around with other people's husband. I think it's sly, like da. And even in that moment, I'm like, you've come with what you ought already are saying are concrete, ironclad facts. They're facts that are proven in a court of law that she's got absolutely no recourse really to say anything of. All you want to hear is, I'm really sorry for being a hoe bag, basically. I'm sorry that I'm a Jezebel and that I was putting it back with all you men. That's what you want to hear, because that's what you've decided that she is, right? And realistically, it's probably not even going to change how you really feel about her, because you're actually probably gonna like do that typical toxic thing of being like, yeah, everything's fine, babe. And then as soon as she's gone, ugh, what a, you know, and you saw it. You actually saw Polly do that, and it's like, this is just ridiculous. She's like, I didn't say that in that kind of way, and I definitely didn't mean that in that kind of way. And they're all just basically just jumping on her, like jumping on her. She's not allowed to finish the sentence. And then Polly pipes in with, "Listen, yeah, now's not the time for you to be getting brave, yeah." And Hannah's like, "You threatening me? It's like it's not a threat, yeah, but when we're getting like this, you haven't got the space to be getting all like that." And Hannah's just like, "Let me just pick up my glass and go about my business, because I'm not sitting here having you talk to me like that." So she storms out, and Amy obviously goes after her. And God bless Emma, because she was like, "What the was that?" She's like, "That was such an attack, guys. Like, what?" She's like, "If that was me, like, I would have felt attacked." And they're all like, "No, I'm not standing for that." And Polly's like, "At the end of the day, right, I'm not going to sit here and tolerate that kind of behaviour from someone like that." And she's sitting down there. She's like, "No, it's not on. It's not on." Rochelle even pipes up and she's like, "Look, if that had been me, I wouldn't have even stayed so long." So, you know, if for Rochelle to be saying that, we know how fiery she can be, you must know how much of that was just so volatile. So they're all still talking about it and stuff inside. Shannon saying that she's just really upset that, you know, that she thought she would just get an apology out of it and she hasn't got that yet. And again, G.I. Jane Holly is just like, well, because when Emma's like, "I just think it was a group attack and that's just unfair." So Holly's like, "You know what, Safe, I'll go and talk to her one-on-one. That's not a problem." Picks up a glass and marches out there to go and talk to her. While Hannah is talking to Amy, and Amy's like, "Yeah, that was an attack. That was not very nice at all. That was really uncomfortable, in fact." And Hannah's just like, "I just, like, these are not my kind of people." She's like, "You know, they've already made a judgment about me. Like, I can't even finish a sentence, and then Polly starts talking and threatening me." She's like, "No, I'm not doing it." Holly then comes outside and she's like, "Look, no one's attacking you." And then Amy's like, "Look, Hannah, just stay calm. Do not leave this conversation. Just talk, you know, just talk it out with her." Like, I love Amy, man. I think she's lovely. So Holly basically recites the same shizzle she was talking about inside, being like, "Look, you know, you've said this to Alex when I'm not there, and that to me comes across as slight, and I don't think that people should be messing around with other people's men." And Hannah's like, "Yeah, but as I said before, it's pathetic, because that's not how it was at all. Everything's been blown out of proportion." And she's like, "You know, you should be like trying to focus on things with your own husband and stuff." And Hannah's just like, look, I don't even know what to say really, because like that's just not how it was. So that conversation doesn't really go anywhere, because, as I say, Holly is still very much like still giving the same kind of attitude, and like in her little VTs and stuff, she's all like, you know, at the end of the day, don't compete where you can't compare. Like, you have got like a rigid impression of who this person is, so it doesn't even matter really what she says. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you're doing the things for the optics now, to be like, well, you know, now people are going to say that we've attacked her, so let me go and do the big thing and go and talk to her one-on-one. But you're going to be upset because like you think that her tone or her facial expressions are not giving what you want, when neither was yours. When you and Polly both agreed over breakfast how you're gonna handle this situation. Like, I honestly, I hate people like this, and it's very, very rare for me to use that word, because I don't like to hate on anybody, but it's giving this air of, I'm gonna be this really, you know, empathetic person that's like gonna convey that I'm being very, very reasonable and rational. But actually, it's all toxic, all of it, from the beginning, from the minute you started that interrogation. Yeah, it was completely off kilter and off balance. And I'm gonna go for broke here, and I actually believe Hannah. Because she said that the only person that she's really bothered about, and I really again rate Emma for going out to speak to Hannah and basically saying, "Look, that was an attack." She's like, "But I will say," she's like, "you know, the way in which you speak is very direct and very sharp, and that can also come across as an attack as well." So, you know, we saw from the honeymoon that when Hannah feels attacked, like, she just goes on the rah. And I feel like she went into that knowing that that was probably going to be the case. Then it was actually realised that it was the case, and probably worse than what she thought. So what other tone do you think you're going to get? Winnie the Pooh ain't playing here, mate. Not playing here, because you're being disrespectful to me. You know, you're saying that you don't want there to be any animosity and whatever else, but realistically, you don't business about the animosity. You're quite happy to have a Barney. You're quite happy to have some drama, when actually it didn't need to be that at all. But the one thing that she does say is that, like, you know, I'm going to speak to Shannon, because that she's the one person that I feel like I'm actually, you know, really upset about, that I've upset. So she comes back inside eventually, and, you know, she pulls Shannon to one side and she's like, "Look, out of everybody, I'm just most upset. And she starts crying. She's like, I'm the most upset that I've hurt you. She's like, because they ain't my kind of people, and I'm fine with that. But, you know, you, I do care about. And Shannon was like, you know, look, I heard it come back to me, and I was really peed off because I was just like, why would you do that? You just don't do that. And she was like, look, my problem is, and maybe it's something I need to learn, is that I don't necessarily see guys and girls as being different. And maybe my interactions, because I don't see them as being different, like, it comes across in a bad way. So I appreciate that not everybody sees things the way that I do, and I'm really, really sorry then that's hurt you in that way, and it's something that I need to learn. And that's all I think it is. You mean to tell me, out of all the people that you know, yeah, that you don't have any girls that are just like, they're about the guys, you know what I mean? Like, they chill with guys more, they don't do these bitchy. Like, all I kept thinking about this year was that this is like the most stereotypical bitch session ever. Like, if you wanted to curate or to put an example out there of what being a bitch is like, this is exactly what it would be. This is exactly what it would be. Like, it was just so ridiculous that I'm leveling the majority at Polly because Polly was the most outspoken. Holly was very much like right behind her. But I think Polly in particular, because of what, you know, she said that she's gone through and stuff, I think I'm even more like frustrated with her, because I was like, how have you got the audacity to sit down there about how you've been treated growing up, and yet you can treat another person like that for things that, for just hearsay things. Like, you know, you weren't there, you didn't see it, like, but because you've built up a relationship with these other people that you've known for longer, you think it's absolutely fine for you to say, well, I'm judge, jury, executioner, that's exactly how it went, that's exactly what you did, and you're going to sit down there and you're going to apologise, and if you even show any kind of face to me, yeah, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Not a fan at all of any of that. Shannon's like, look, that's all I wanted to hear. Thank you so much. They squashed it. That was fine. But then it wasn't over. Like, it just wasn't over. Like, you know, they had questions about some of the other husbands and stuff. And I think because things weren't resolved with Alex, with Holly and Hannah, like, I think Polly took it upon herself to kind of throw some digs in there. So the one thing that I will say I did think was really hypocritical is that Hannah was like, look, you know, they asked who, you know, if there was anyone's husband, who did you find the sexiest husband or something, and she basically said Alex. So she was like, you know, end of the day, she's like, you know, Alex has been supportive to me. Holly hasn't let me finish the word I'm saying and throwing all this crap my way. So yeah, I picked Alex. So she was being petty, right? Then I think Holly picked her own husband, but then Polly, as the sexiest, picked Stephen, and was like, you know, yeah, I just think, you know, he's great, he's moral, this and all this other stuff. And Hannah was like, you've known him like 2 minutes, do you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, you want to like pick him? How about your own husband? She was like, you know, I just think it's really pathetic and it's really like childhood behaviour. But I was like, yeah, but it's only literally 2 seconds ago that you just said the same thing. So, you know, we can all be a bit petty here. But again, the reason I'm in her camp more so is because she's on her own. Like, she's got Amy, that's it. Do you know what I mean? There's no one else in Hannah's camp, really. Whole position that Polly was in, like, and I just think she's allowed a lot of this stuff to go to her head a little bit, and she's acting like a mean girl. She's acting like a mean girl, and nobody likes me. I mean, the film Mean Girls is hilarious. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the actual mean girl in a group, or the mean person, no one likes that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so how about just a bit of humility, a bit of kindness? I tell you something, yeah, Lucinda. Remember Lucinda from MAFS Australia? She would never have handled that situation like that, ever. So anyway, it continues, and they're all talking about basically like how amazing their husbands are, and like how they're all just really, really happy. Like, they're giving each other compliments about, you know, what I take from your relationship, and who do you think is the most genuine, who do you think is the least genuine. Sorry, who do you think is doing the most for their husband, their wives, who do you think is giving the least? Before anybody was even allowed to say Stephen, Polly pipes up and she's like, I don't think that we should all be bagging on Stephen, actually. I think we should leave that where it is. So even though Hannah was like, well, let's have an open conversation about it, Polly's already vetoed that Stephen isn't allowed to be someone that we say is giving the least. Even though I think Lacey was even like, I don't know who else I'd even pick aside from him. So again, I was like, just crawl out of Stephen's batty hole for 1 second, Polly. Like, what is doing you? And, Kieran got the funniest one. Compliments are flying left, right and centre for people's husbands and stuff. Again, sexiest, I think a lot of people picked their own. So, you know, Shannon picked her own. She's like, you know, I just think he's gorgeous. Lacey picked Nathan as well, but I think she said that she'd probably pick Ryan, I think. I think she said. I know the Rochelle said she'd pick Ryan. Yeah, Polly picked Stephen. Holly picked Alex. Sasha picked Ross. I'm trying to think who Christina picked. Emma's response about that though for Luke was absolutely hilarious because I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. And I think Amy also picked Luke as well, but she said if it wasn't Luke, it'd be Nathan. So yeah, so we picked all of that. Then it was like who is the least genuine, and they predominantly they all picked Orson, and was just like I've got questions about Orson, which again I feel like after last night's episode, a few of the things I'm like, well, maybe there is something in what Rochelle was saying. Do you know what I mean? I still think how she said what she said is still a little harsh personally, but you know, for that many people to be picking up on something that does say something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would do a Polly and hold court and expect Orson to answer for his actions before the council. You know what I mean? Before we decide we were going to throw him on the stake and watch it burn. I don't think we'd do all of that. Do you know what I mean? But I do think that, you know, where something's being said, some questions should be asked. Do you know what I mean? I think that's absolutely fine. Then they ask, like, who do they think is the least genuine? Polly's like, well, I don't think it's a surprise, really. I'm going to pick Hannah, you know, because just the way you come across and stuff, I just don't think you're the most genuine. Hannah then refuses to answer the question, and then Holly's like, well, look, you meant to, it's a task that you meant to be honest, you meant to be genuine, so you should answer that, you know, just again, just bully boy tactics, really. And she's like, okay, well, I feel like I'll just reciprocate what Polly said. I say Polly. You know, kept it cute, kept it like moving. Then there's an open conversation about Stephen, I think. Emma was like, I think it'd be great if you both... No, sorry, Christina's like, I wish you could both just give a little bit more, and then hopefully kind of meet in the middle a little bit. Like, and then Hannah's like, I've done everything over the last 2 weeks and stuff, like to try and contact him, to speak to him, to message him. And Polly just sat down there shaking her head, just being just like, what? Like what? And again, she's like, I'm just Team Stephen. I'm just Team Stephen. Like, I understand, right? I understand that nobody likes the idea of somebody messing with their partner, right? I get it. But what I think is coming out here, right, is to me a transference. Like, whether it's because it's something that's happened to them in their past and that people have taken them in, or that they feel as that someone has the capacity in which to take someone from them, yeah. They're exhibiting all this, like, this toxic anger towards this person, when in reality, like she said there, it was completely harmless. She's like, I wasn't sat here rubbing up your man. Well, I mean, granted, the whole thing with the foot, I'm still, like, Ryan said that she rubbed his foot. She's like, I didn't touch the foot. But either way, there was something that was touched, the hand was somewhere, right? Again, I'm only speaking about, like, from my perspective, I can be very tactile with my friends. In fact, I'll give you an example, right? So I'm a hugger, right? So even if I haven't known you that long, right, I'm a hugger. Like, if someone introduces me to you, like, my natural instinct, if there's someone that's close to you anyway, my thing would be is that I'll bring it in, man. Like, we're huggers around here, because that's me showing you that, like, yo, it's love. Do you know what I mean? I do appreciate that some people are not huggers, and that's fine. And I have met some people that've been like, oh, no. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, no problems. In the main, that is how I would address people. So my long-term friends, yeah, that I've went to uni with them, like, this is one of my best friends, right? Like, his partner, we went to a wedding, like a beautiful wedding of our joint friends. So my friend's partner doesn't know anybody, right? So he's my friend's plus one. So this is our uni friend's wedding. So we're having a great time and stuff, and like, as I do, you know, you're drinking, like, you know, and we're talking and stuff. I'm hugging my friend, and so I'm hugging my one friend who's got this partner. And again, because everyone's drinking and whatever else, like, I'm completely oblivious to any kind of animosity. And then it gets to the point where they're in some kind of argument, right? So they're arguing, bearing in mind we're at a wedding, so it's all peaceful and it's all love. There should be no reason for there to be any kind of beef. At one point or another, I don't know how it moved from where it was to where it ended up, but we're in front of this, like, fountain thing that's at this wedding. Basically, I see that my friend, like, his partner has pushed him over and like this massive bench is like falling onto my friend. So like obviously I've jumped up being like, what the hell is going on here? And he's like, this has got nothing to do with you, you stay out of this. And I was like, well actually I'm not gonna stay out of this because you've just physically assaulted my friend. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, you see you, right, I should drown you in that effing like you, and use a racial slur. And I was just stunned, and basically he grabbed me by the throat, all right, and was basically like attempting to like put me into this pool thing, fountain thing. Anyway, one of my other friends jumped in and was like, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. Basically, he had got like, I mean, he was already, I guess, upset about other things, but the one thing that he was upset with me for was that like apparently I was trying it on with my friend. And I was like, this is the most, like, I mean, I love my friend to pieces, but like, absolutely not, never. Like, not because they're not amazing, but we just do not have that kind of relationship, like, at all. But in my head, it was so mad that you would think that because I'm hugging my friend. Like, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. So whilst I can appreciate, yeah, when it's someone that you don't know too well, and actually they don't necessarily know your intentions, I do think that like one's perception and one's intention can exist in the same space and be completely different. Do you know what I mean? So you might think that my intention was to rub up on your man, like, but realistically, my intention was just to hug my friend. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So, they could have thought that, yeah, okay, Hannah's said, oh, yeah, you're my favorite guy here. But, and, she's obviously put the two things together to be like, oh, you go, Jim, like, you're my favourite guy here, you're rubbing up this man's foot. When in reality, all we've seen from Hannah is quite a rambunctious, potentially a little bit obnoxious and probably not as aware person that's probably just attempting to be as she would be with other people, because that is what you, like she said, usually I gel in a group really, really quickly. And I just think they've just set for her. They've just set for her from the beginning, and it doesn't matter what she said, they were always going to like jump on her in that point. So yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. And then obviously when they've talked about the whole twisting thing, would you twist for another husband? The majority of people said they wouldn't twist, and they would stick with the husband that they have. Christina gave like the most amazing tribute to Kieran. Like, it was just so heartfelt. I'm like, yes, good egg, yeah, you got your man, you got your perfect person. Yeah, Hannah said she would twist for Alex, which obviously continued to pee off Holly. I don't know. I would say it's a compliment that you think that my other half is attractive. Great. Do you know what I mean? But my thing would be, yeah, if you can take something from me, it wasn't mine in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna sit down here and get all bent out of shape, because if they want to go, if you then show them interest and then they want to go, then you weren't made for me anyway. Why am I gonna get upset because you find the person that I'm with attractive? I also find the person I'm with attractive. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd be different if you're like, well, actually, I'm gonna make a beeline for that person because well, that's a different conversation, in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the question was, if you could switch, who would you switch for? So why are you screwing? She said she'd switch for Alex. And then Polly's like, so would you switch Adam? And she's like, yeah, I would actually. I'd switch for Stephen because, of the conversation. And I think someone actually just say like, have you even spoken to Stephen? And she's like, yeah. I've had conversations, some flirty banter. And I think like he'd be able to give me all the things that Adam currently isn't giving me. Like, yeah, Adam's gotten better and stuff, but there's so much more with the PDA. She's like, I'd want what you have, Lacey, or that, Nathan is not shy to show how much he cares about you in front of everybody else, kisses on the cheek, and like, yeah, I'd have that. So yeah, I'd switch for Stephen. And Hannah's exactly right. She's like, I think that Adam should watch his back because like, you're not gonna stay with your own husband. Okay. And I'm just like, and I'm not trying to make this a poly bashing episode yet, but there's just so many things in this episode. I'm just like, you're just a hypocrite, because you're sitting down there cussing somebody else, yeah, but then you're talking about how the man that you've pretty much dragged to get to this point, yeah, you're now being like, actually, I'm not going to appreciate the fact that you've had this real epiphany moment, this really great thing. You're not going to appreciate that and say, actually, do you know what? Like, I want to stick with this person because that's the reason that you've stayed on our TV sets for like 2 weeks, right? Being shamed on national television, right? Because you believed in this man. So believe in him now. But look where we've got to. Believe in him now. But no, I switched for Stephen, and I'm sure she did it just to get a Hannah. I'm sure she did it. I'm sure. I mean, she probably just fancied Stephen as well. But I think she was like, well, if you're gonna pick Alex, yeah, well, let me dig you out a little bit. Yeah, actually, I picked Stephen because he's great. He's great because he's not the problem. You're the problem. So yeah, I'd pick Stephen. Yeah, I would. Sasha has this really, really funny moment where she's just like, I would definitely not be switching out my husband. And actually, if I find out that he wanted to switch out, yeah, we'd be flipping tables. You know, so if I find out that Ryan's picked anybody else, babe, who gonna tell you that your husband's name is Ross? His name is Russ. So she's just like, oh my god, oh my god. That was really funny. That was really, really funny. With the boys' night then, and the boys' kind of excursion, again, it was pretty tame, really. There definitely was nothing like the girls' one. There was no drama. There did seem to be a consensus that they thought that Stephen should really try a bit more with Hannah, and a few people are, look, you know, there's obviously, like Ryan was saying, look, there's obviously something there, yeah, because she's trying to, you know, get a rise out of you. Like, she wouldn't be doing that if she didn't care about you. Do you know what I mean? Like, there must be something. Are you saying there's absolutely no way? And he's like, no. She's like, she disrespected me on honeymoon. She's disrespected me again after the commitment ceremony. Like, I'm not trying with that. I'm done. And Orson was trying to say, look, it's not that deep. Me and her had a conversation last night, and you know, like, whatever you're thinking, it isn't that deep. And he's like, no, it is that deep, and I'm done. I'm done, mate. Then they ask, you know, who do you think the sexiest wife is? And to be fair, like, some of them picked their own. Like, Luke was like surprised that more people didn't pick Amy. He was like, oh, Amy. He was like, absolutely Amy. Gave some next, like, story about a cow and the pieces of the cow and something. They didn't quite understand that, but I was like, all right, safe Luke. Ryan stuck with Shannon. Stephen said he'd pick Shannon as well. Casper was very quick to say that he'd pick Sasha, which Ross took really well in his stride. He also picked Sasha as well. Adam said he'd pick Lacey. I think Nathan said he'd pick Lacey as well, I think. I can't remember who Kieran said. Kieran might have said Christina, I'm not sure. And they asked about, again, the sticking and switching of the wives and stuff. They all, surprisingly, stuck. I don't know whether Orson said that he would have switched with anyone. I don't know if he did actually answer that question, I can't remember. But the majority of them, Nathan would stick with Lacey, Alex stick with Holly. Adam was like, I'll stick with Polly. He's like, bearing in mind he thought Lacey was the most attractive. He was like, I would stick with Polly because we've got this far. And you know, it's not about switching wives. You know what I mean? Like, you made a commitment, we see it to the end. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we leave. I was like, I rate that, Adam. Like, this is probably the best episode for Adam that I've seen, if I'm honest. Stephen actually said that he would actually stick. Sorry, he didn't say that he would pick Shannon to switch with, that he would stick with the situation because... What was the reason he gave, actually, that he would stick in the situation? I can't remember what reason he gave, but I did think that was weird that he would stick with it because it's shown... Oh, I can't remember what he said. They then come back and meet up after all of the shenanigans. They're all kind of like breaking it down. Hannah and Amy telling Luke about what happened and stuff, and you know, how it was really an attack, and they're just relaying what happened. And then they tell Luke that basically that Polly said that she'd switch out Adam for Stephen, and Luke's like, what? Then it cuts to Adam and Polly and Alex and Holly in their little cabin, and they're recounting the stories and stuff, and they're saying, okay, so who said who was the sexiest wife? And Alex was like, in fact, did Alex say Amy? I actually don't know. I don't remember whether he said Holly was the sexiest for him. I can't remember, but Adam definitely was like, oh, that Lacey was the sexiest. And Polly's face looked upset from that, to be honest. Both Alex and Adam were like, yeah, obviously, like I said, that I would stick with you. And Alex was like, you know, I'm not that kind of husband. He was saying this, she's like, you know, at the end of the day, we show a real relationship, that you will have blazing rows, we have great days as well, and that this and the other. And then Adam was like, yeah, and obviously I said I would stick as well. And then he's like, what did you say, Polly? And she's like, what do you think I'd say? And she's like, well, you'd be pretty stupid to say that you'd switch. And she's like, I did say that I'd switch. And he was like, no, you didn't. And she's like, I did. And he's looking at Holly to be like, is she for real? Like, and Alex is like, no. And she's like, well, yeah. She's like, obviously I said that I'd switch for Stephen. And she's like, nah. She's like, well, yeah, because, you know, you're not everything that I need, Adam. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's things in Stephen that he could give me that would, like, make you perfect. She's like, the thing is, right, you know, you already know that, like, I like you, yeah, but there's things that you don't do, like, that I need, I'm not getting from you. And he's like, what? Like a kiss on the cheek in the street? Like, so you're telling me that 3 weeks of me changing and doing the most for you to try and make this work, and you can sit down there in front of a room full of people and basically say that you would swap me out for someone that you've met for literally 3 days or whatever it is, and you don't think that's muggy as. And she's like, well, no. She's like, and basically it ends up with him storming out. And I'm just like, absolutely. And he called it so right. He's just like, you're saying that the PDA that you need completely eradicates everything else in which that you've had from me. And I'm just like, bro, at that point, that would be enough for me to be like, this is in the bin, this is done. Like, you've got me to a point where I'm actually opening up to you, like someone that I didn't even think I would ever be attracted to in that kind of way. And we found our way, we found our navigation, and then you've gone out of absolutely nowhere to like actually prefer someone else. It's like, if that's exactly the same as me saying, well, I think Lacey is the most attractive, so I should switch to her because she could give me everything that I'm looking for, which you can't. Would that make you feel good? And she's like, well, no, I wouldn't want to hear that either. So she's like, well, it's exactly the same. And then, lo and behold, Q1, the crying. Just so over it, mate. Like, you need to come off the show, yeah, and you need to just see how you come across. Just see how you come across. I think she thinks in her head that she's being this very logical, fair person, but it's like you're saying some things and you're doing some things that are very at odds with what it is you're actually saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, what you're actually trying to put out there and what you're actually putting out there are two completely different things. I guess, as I said, my frustration in the most of it is that, like, for the main part of this series, everyone has been feeling sorry for you and has got this whole, like, I can't believe Polly's gone through this thing with Adam. And yet when it comes to you to be able to show some compassion to another person, yeah, like, for the sake of someone that's a good looking person who, you know, he says that she's not messaged him. She says that she has. She's quite openly said that, like, my way with people could potentially be taken the wrong way by people who don't know me. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Do you know what I mean? Like, and what you're insinuating doesn't mean that it's true. You've got every right to feel that way, but what you don't have the right to do is to allow your animosity to build towards that and then treat me in that kind of way. That's not fair. Not if we're trying to have a meeting of the minds and whatever. And you don't get to hold court, yeah, as some moral judge, jury and executioner when you don't even know that it's inappropriate to say to someone that's been trying their hardest, according to him and according to you and according to everything that's great now. Then say, actually, you know what, I know you're doing that, but I'd take this guy over you, actually. It's brave and it's disrespectful. You've got a nerve. This ain't the time to be getting brave, Polly. Yeah, not the time to be getting brave. Tomorrow's episode now, it looks as though that they're going to the dinner party. Stephen's got no intention of talking to Hannah whatsoever, which again I think is just really horrible. It looks as though Orson's putting into some kind of plan him and Hannah, because, like Rochelle said, she's got no fibre in her body that has any intention to have anything to do with Orson. So that's done. Oh, and then you've got the sneaky snake behaviour from Stephen, yeah. That basically, because I just thought he said he liked Shannon. I thought she was pretty, but apparently Ryan couldn't make it to the dinner or something, so he's now talking about, like, shooting his shot. And I can't remember who goes and tells Shannon. I don't know if it's Holly, or if it's Lacey. But and I can't see, because I can't remember, like, whether when they told Shannon it was a case of, like, yeah, so Ryan's basically saying he's going to make a move, or if it's like, look, Ryan said he'd make a move if Stephen make a move, like, if Ryan's not here. Because if one of them is not condemning someone wanting to move to Shannon in that kind of way, they can get in the same recycling bin that Stephen can get into, because how are you okaying that? How are you okaying that when you're condemning everything for Hannah? So I'm needing to see some tone tomorrow that says, I've just heard, yeah, that Stephen is about to try some madness, some disrespectful madness. If it's anything but that, if there's any kind of wry, coy smile, like, oh, because he's got nice, like, you get in the recycling bin, in it. Polly's already sat down there waiting. And you know what, actually, it'd be nice to finish on this, because I actually forgot about this. Amidst all that drama and all that craziness, yeah, Emma and Casper had a little bit of a meeting of the minds, because she was saying to Rochelle earlier on in the episode that, like, I kind of want to try, like, to have a little bit more intimacy with him, and Rochelle was kind of coaching her, and then, like, she was kind of, like, practicing in the camera, like, that whole bit, yeah, I kind of felt like I was watching, like, Undateables or something. It was just so cute, like, you know, and how she's gonna go about it, and like all the different parts she was doing about like, oh Casper, like you look really nice today, and he's like, I'm literally wearing a jumper and jeans, like, oh, what are you even on about? And just watching that whole thing progress, and then him kind of taking her hand and stuff. Like, I never thought, like I said, I'd be this like hopeful, and like just seeing that, just that vulnerability. I think that's, again, and I kind of understand what he means now. You know, I think it was just a really cute thing to see. So I'm really, really excited to see like if they do get that snugging, which I never thought I'd say. He was in the same camp as freaking Adam for me, but yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. So let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, key takeaways are: I am not, as much as Polly team Stephen, I ain't team Polly. I'm not really team Holly either. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys thought of this. If you did enjoy this, then please do drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next one.